I think if you're honest about it, no one likes the guest management side. It is
Mhm.
a very frustrating area of the business. I know certainly I realized quite quickly that I am never going to build a business out if I'm guest managing, because I don't have the patience for the complaints and the the niggles and the maintenances and all that sort of stuff. So if I was to grow this business, I need to step out of that and put somebody in there who is good at that. And that was one of the first hires that I did.
Who's this? Oh, you're an entrepreneur? Oh, you're a real estate investor. Oh, you're trying to learn from those who did it. Well, come into the lab then. Put your white coat on, gloves on, notepad, and let's build, y'all.
Today, Experiment Nation, I got, Ryan, Luke here in the lab with us. And Ryan, it's pretty neat to kind of see your journey. I think we've rubbed shoulders many times. I think this short-term rental space is just so small, or it's like 2 degrees of separation. And we've been involved in a few projects together. We have the same peers in the space. We kind of lean on each other. We're just speaking about you kind of expanding to the US, and I want to tell the community what you do, because you have a very unique franchise model that you've kind of baked in to your short-term rental operation, which has allowed you to scale tremendously. And you have this crazy, it's not crazy, it's a big goal, and this is who we have in the lab, practitioners with us, where you really want to scale this to what I think you were saying, like 5,000 units by 2024, which is you're well on your way with the way that you've kind of built out this model, which is very unique. And I'm not going to let the serendipity go to waste, because we obviously, you guys see over my shoulder right next to our bestseller Hospitable Host book, we actually have Julie Joy's face, which Julie came to visit, stay at one of our properties in actually Atlanta when we had one of our masterminds for the book launch. And she was telling me the model. It's like, Ruben, you gotta let your cleaning team be your property host, and you have your own kind of different profit share, because I know Julie was kind of saying, the way she did it, she kind of allowed them build their own businesses, but you're kind of baking it into employees, and you have like a franchise model where you're allowing them to build they're plugging into your back end, and you're letting them kind of do the front work and acquisition. But I'm going to let you kind of give the introduction that you deserve. I just want to level set, because you're doing some amazing things. And so that's Luke for you here in the lab. Luke, what's going on today, brother?
Yeah. So first and foremost, thanks for having me on, and hopefully I can add some value to the audience. But listen, it's been a crazy business cycle, a crazy business since I started this whole thing. And I guess no one ever predicted where I am, but it kind of each year seems to take a different avenue, and it's just the kind of expansion of everything that I've done. So first built it on the ground myself, and continue to build, both the asset portfolio and the rental arbitrage portfolio. And, that's been fundamental to the cash flow, and, being able to reinvest that all the time. And I still do a lot of that. And, it's the asset stuff's the legacy wealth stuff. That's the bit where if you want to bow out of the game and, sell up or whatever, you can still keep the assets. And then obviously that still keeps paying you till, you die and you pass it on. But that's the idea on that front. And then the rental arbitrage is, I think it's a great business model. I mean, you can acquire a lot quickly, done properly. You can have your money back within probably 5 to 6 months, and then it's pure cash flow thereafter. I think the average rental arbitrage deals like 8 years. So, you're looking at just 7.5 years worth of profit. And it's just, done right, it's a really good business model. And I think it works well with landlords and us, and you come together, and as long as everyone understands who's doing what and what's going to happen, then it really is a great fit. And that's kind of what I've leveraged to scale in, I think we're in, I don't know, over 34 locations or something now, but and looking to pretty much get in every continent in the world by next year at some point. So, but the model's the same, I'm finding, no matter where you go, and people have the same problems. And then I kind of sat down about a year ago now, maybe a bit longer, and I was like, how can I scale this bigger? How can we move faster? And everything was ticking along nicely, but as I wanted to move quicker. I'm impatient. So I I don't know, I just kind of had this light bulb moment about a franchise model. I came back and watched the Founder movie, literally on this telly here. This is my movie room, which is why it's pitch black. But I was in the gym and I kind of had this light bulb moment of the McDonald's Founder movie. And so I came home and watched it on here, but with a different perspective. Rather than just watching it as a movie with the family, I'm now watching it as a business. And I'm like, right, okay, let's see what went well, what didn't go well. And I really got a lot of ideas from that. And that allowed me to put together the franchise business, which I think the majority of hosts, in my experience, never really get past probably 10 or 15 units because they unfortunately create themselves another job and they can't get out of that job. And I've seen it time and time again where, previously I used to do a bit of coaching and mentoring and stuff. I now only do that for the franchisees. And but when I was doing that, I could quite quickly get people to sort of 10 or 15 units, but then they wouldn't really listen to me about investing in other people and building teams out and really getting your head around technology and understand how to automate, systemize things. And sure enough, they'd go off by themselves after the mentorship was finished, and they would unfortunately, I'd see quite a lot of them end up going backwards because they ended up just putting themselves in the ground by doing all the guest management 24/7 and really just falling out of love with the game. Because I think if you're honest about it, no one likes the guest management side. It is a very frustrating area of the business. I know certainly I realized quite quickly that I am never going to build a business out if I'm guest managing, because I don't have the patience for the complaints and the the niggles and the maintenances and all that sort of stuff. So if I was to grow this business, I need to step out of that and put somebody in there who is good at that. And that was one of the first hires that I did. But the franchise model, so rather than just being a kind of standard franchise where you kind of buy into the brand, we give you all the training, and we then show you how to do this and how to acquire deals, but then also show you how to run it on the back end, how to host, how to do your cleaning, your linen and all that sort of stuff. I want people to just focus on the front end, because that's where the money is. We can only make as much as possible from one property, and once that property's full, we need another one to add more cash flow into the business. So I want people just focusing on finding properties, setting them up, finding contracts, setting them up, and by allowing them to plug into the back end ops. I've been through the pain. As it's I've researched, I've built the systems, the processes. We're constantly refining them. Spend hundreds of thousands on my marketing, on my websites, on softwares, and that's all being done, and it continues to improve. So I thought, why spend time teaching people how to do that rather than just let them plug into that? Let's just continually focus on deal sourcing. Let's just build those relationships on the front end, support them financially if need be, and just keep that beast scaling. And I think that's that's why the majority of people don't get past that 10-15 mark, because they don't figure the back end out. So I thought, well,
becomes more of a nuisance. We
figured that out. So just plug into it and then continue to scale. So in brief, and I was a bit long-winded, but that's kind of how I've set it up. And so far, so good with who we've kind of been working with.
That's genius, man. It's crazy because it's being an entrepreneur. I have an agency, and it's funny because we kind of built the business, I would say, backwards as well. Like typically it's like you go hunt, and then people struggle with like the fulfillment, right? And that's like where there's a lot of software as a service. There's a lot of businesses that kind of help you with that, and it seems that you have built an infrastructure where you're already seeing ahead. Like as you grow, you're gonna run into this problem, and that's gonna be a burden. So why don't you just plug into what I've already done? I've already spent the money. I've already put the systems in place, etc. So do you do the hunting? So let me ask about the hunting part. When I say hunting, just so I'm clear for everybody, and just actually let's put some things into context, because we drink the Kool-Aid so much that we sometimes take it for granted. So essentially, you've built, it sounds from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, you've built a kind of a rental arbitrage model that helps in bringing in so much cash flow, and then you've built the time and time again the back end to be able to fulfill that. That's like from cleaners to turnover to technology, etc. Right. And then you started talking about this in the beginning, just so we're clear. Rental arbitrage, it seems like it's kind of like your offense, and then your defense, you're also buying some as well, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I've managed to build, a 7-figure portfolio of my own that I own. It's mine. No one can take that away from me by reinvesting the cash from the rental arbitrage into buying assets. Yeah. So, I think I continue to reinvest the money. I take very little out, as much as, I think the first 5 years of any business, you should try and live skint and live. I mean, I don't live skint, but, I'm not going stupid and buying, Rolls Royces and things like that. I very much reinvest the whole thing back into bricks and mortar. And if I can own the asset, great. We have a really good strategy here in the UK where you can effectively buy. It's the same in the US. You can buy a doer-upper and then you refinance it after you've done it, and you pull the money back out as long as you get the numbers right. And touch wood, the majority of the deals I've done I've got the numbers right, and a lot of the money's come back out, and we've recycled that. Plus, I might have topped it up a bit with the cash flow from the rental arbitrage, and then we just continue to just keep spinning that money back into buying the assets. But yeah, I think buying assets is difficult, especially since COVID. Prices gone up. Prices of build costs have gone up and everything. So it's hard to find those deals. So instead of sitting on the sidelines, I'm like, let's just go and find 5 rental arbitrages this week. Sign them up. Let's go. Let's get 7 next week. Sign them up. Let's go.
Let me ask you about that, because when people like you talk, I listen very closely how you do things. Right. So you're using the rental arbitrage as a cash flow play, so that you're not sitting on the sidelines when the market might be overpriced, etc. Right. You're still building that cash flow. You said something key. If you do it the right way, 5 to 6 months, you got that. You got that cash on cash back, and now you're kind of like just cash flowing on top of that, right? Because obviously there's money invested up front, like furniture, etc. So, let's go back for a second though. Like when you said you're going by like 5 rental arbitrage, right? What are you targeting? Are you targeting like apartments and stuff like that, like for rental arbitrage, and you're doing it in one location strategically? Like talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, finding deals is difficult. So I'm a big believer you kind of take the opportunity that's in front of you. So in an ideal world, I would, now know what I know now and operate multi-unit stock. It's a lot easier to do it that way than single residential. But at the same time, if we get a single residential opportunity, then we'll take it. It's at the end of the day, if the numbers on the spreadsheet say it's going to be profitable, then we add it to the portfolio, and we make it work. In an ideal world, I'd like to go and acquire blocks of 20 apartments all over the best cities in the world and just buy them or rent them, but it's not as easy to find those as it is to find a single residential stock.
For sure. Ryan, let me ask you a quick question, because we had our boy TJ come and talk about a very similar strategy. He's doing rental arbitrage and he's buying as well. What would you say is a good ratio? Like if I got, whether it's $1 million or 100K, I think what you said is very key as far as a strategy, as far as from a portfolio and with the end goal in mind. So what do you think is a good ratio if I got, let's say 100K, or if I have $1 million in the bank, or let's say 500K, if you're saying, I'm going to deploy 200 towards rental arbitrage and like 300 towards buying, like what would you think is maybe your ratio? Maybe it's not good for everybody, but what would you say would your ratio be when you have cash in hand on how to deploy your money? Because I think that's a big question people have of the opportunity cost, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think, I mean, again, as you go through this journey, and, for the listeners who've not even engaged yet, when I say that, I never really worry. I actually say to my guys on the ground, go out as though you've got 100 million in the bank account to spend, because if you find a good deal, I'll find the money. Even if I personally haven't got it, I'll go find the money. Because, as we know, inflation's going up, and investors need to do something with their money. So once you get that trust, and, you can demonstrate that you've done this over and over again, it's easy to find money to fund deals. But if I was to start out again with a pot of, say, 100 grand, I'd probably start with one asset purchase from that. That might be, you see, in my area, the property prices aren't too expensive. So, I could probably turn a full project round in maybe 40K, and then and use that 40K for that asset purchase. and then I might allocate maybe, 50K towards rental arbitrage. And I would always keep a slush fund. I think in this business, you always get surprises. And I think you always need just a tiny bit, just in case, something does go wrong, which inevitably it will. And that's, again, another sort of mistake I see a lot of people make, and they go and spend everything they've got and they can't finish projects because they haven't got the money to do so.
Yeah, no, that's a good split. It's funny that you automatically factor that into your response, right? As you're doing your quick math that, hey, I'm going to keep like 10K aside for when something does go wrong, not assuming that everything will go well. So it tells me a lot about how you operate. So let's tell me about the hunting for a second. And I'm using the word hunting, and I don't know, it just came to mind, but you when you're building a franchise model, you're saying, okay, plug into my back end, but the front end, are you coaching that of like, hey, here's the best way to pitch, to get the way I'm picking up these 5 units, so that, because I know that the more that you close on, right, the more that obviously you bring cash flow into, the franchise model. So how does that look like? Are you coaching them on how to pitch, or you're just saying, hey, this is your own business, go and get it, and then I got you? Like, what does that look like?
No, it's very much like a family community, full support. At the end of the day, I kind of stopped coaching and mentoring other people because I thought I'm building businesses to compete against my business. And it kind of was a bit counterintuitive. And then I thought, I don't mind helping, the franchisees build their businesses, because ultimately they are my business. They're representing the whole brand. We're going to grow as a, stronger together community, strength in numbers type attitude. So for me, a lot of the training that we do, so whether it's myself or the team, we plug them into all different areas of our business. So they're constantly got support. They've got real-time communication. We'd also do, funny enough, tomorrow, I've got all the franchisees coming up to Newcastle to the office, and we're going to have a full day. We do that once a month. And, and then we'll do online sessions. I'll do one-to-ones with people if need be. I can get my team on one-to-ones. At the end of the day, the way I see it is, it's no different to, a sales manager in a call center who needs to deliver a result. He needs to train his team every day to be able to get that result.
Cold calling, all that stuff. Yeah.
It's exactly the same for me. So I could say, just go out there and, try your luck and see what's happening. Or I can say, go and do this, say this, pitch this. This is the area you need to look at. Bang, 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 and you will get the results. That means we onboard quicker. That means we move quicker. And ultimately, I want them to be gathering as many units as possible as quickly as they can, because I do think we've got very much a rinse and repeat type business where once you crack that, as you say, hunting model, then you just do it again and do it again and do it again,
rinse and repeat.
Over and over. It's a great business model, and that's why I love it, and that's why I think it's very accessible for so many people to get started as well.
I think it's genius. So let's be tactical for a second. If I come on board, it's Luke Capital, right? Luke Capital Group, or is that?
Yeah, I mean, Luke Stays is the accommodation brand of the group, but yeah, it's all falls under the one group.
No, I was just gonna say the name of the franchise, like just so for context.
Luke Stays is the
Luke Stays. Got it. Luke Stays. Let me be more clear. So let's say I join Luke Stays, and I'm like, okay, man, this is crazy. Like, Ryan's gonna give me the game. I'm gonna go in there and do my thing. What is in scope for me and what is out of scope, just to be clear at a very high level? Like, am I going to have to figure out the cleaners, or is that something I'm leaning on you on? That's technology. Is that off the hand? Like, what do I need to do every single day tactically? And what do I not need to worry about if I'm under your umbrella?
Yeah. So, I mean, typically, I'm a big believer that in business, especially the first few years, 80 to 90% of your time is spent on sales and marketing. So sales for us is obviously acquisitions or going hunting for the property, and the rest of it's marketing. So we will, we just expect you to be out on the ground, out making the phone calls, speaking with the agents, building those relationships, and doing everything that gets those results. At the end of the day, if you go on enough viewings each week, you make enough offers, you will get enough deals. It is as simple as that. It's just a volume game. And we want you to be doing that as much as you can. The minute you get your property, we then have everything behind the scenes. So it's a case, we've got your furniture shopping list, we've got your brand standards, how you're going to set it up. We will then show you, you've got an onboarding form, you plug in, you fill that in. My team then reaches out, we then get everything set up, all the, lock boxes and everything like that. And then we just take over, we get it listed, we start marketing, we drive the guests, we get it full. The only thing that we want you to do is actually price your property, because we want you to control it. I think of it a bit like you guys get to play the stock market every day with your properties. You get to do your dynamic pricing, and you get to see how it reacts. And we give you full training on that, and we constantly support you on that as well. But we take away the headache. So once it's plugged in, it's plugged in. And then we also have our marketing hub. So the trust brand marketing, and I've got like full team of copywriters, SEO experts, graphic designers, everything behind the scenes. We create basically done for you marketing content. So on a Monday, pick that, post that on there. On a Tuesday, pick that, post that on there. And that in effect will drive leads into your business as well. So we're kind of doing that on the back end. So we just want you to be focused on sales and marketing. Just build your brand out on social media and just get out there and speak to people.
Wow. That's really neat, man. That's such a great way to grow. And I love what you said. It's like, I'm over here helping out, other people. Why don't I bring them into an umbrella where they can even be more successful? And then we're kind of like all money in, no money out, right? That's kind of like each one teach one. So what are we, for context, like what is that team? I know you said 34 different locations. What's the currently right now it's about to be Q4 2022. Where are we at with this team? And I know you said I don't know if we were offline at the time, you just said you got somebody in the US. What are we looking like as far as the team and the model? I mean, this is genius. It's such a good model. So where are we at this time?
Yeah, so right now we operate all throughout the United Kingdom and Ireland. We've got a large base building out in Dubai, so we operate out there as well, about to push into kind of Abu Dhabi and hopefully Saudi. And we've just opened up in sort of Chicago area in the US, so we're pushing there. South Africa is about to open hopefully as well. So we're quite quickly kind of starting to filter in. I think again, coming back to kind of, our marketing, we've been targeting certain areas that we feel are hotspots for, the Airbnb game, as people know it. And we're kind of having those calls with people and, introducing them to the brand and the concept. And then, once they're ready to go and they're a right fit, because we do kickback applications. I don't want to work with somebody, or I don't want to take money off somebody that I know is just not cut out to make this, because we're trying to make it as easy as possible to get results, and it's proven that it does get results for the right people. But one thing I'm not going to do is like be a savior for you. You're not just going to instantly buy into a franchise and all of a sudden become a millionaire. That doesn't happen, and I'm not going to sell that dream to anybody. It's very much, we're going to give you the roadmap and we're going to give you the support, but goddamn, you're going to have to do the work on the front end to make this happen. And if you're prepared to do that, you will get the results. But we need to make sure we have the right people, make sure they've got enough liquidity, enough capital behind them so they can set some units up and get that ball rolling. And, we want to then make sure they're in the right locations as well. And, and also have enough time, because, taking on someone who's got, a 90-hour week job and $5,000 in the bank account, more than likely, unless they're, a real game changer, they're probably not going to make it. So there's no point giving them false hope. And then 5 months down the line, they're like, I haven't done anything, and, I've wasted money and this, that, and the other. So it's about picking the right partners, because I do see them all as business partners. That is how we view every single person that comes into the business, and we want to work together with them for the long term.
Experimentation, I always experiment. And the reason why is I'm always trying to find the best tool, the best method, and the best vehicle to help me get to my end goal. One of the tools that we use in the short-term rental space is Guesty for Hosts. Now, Experimentation, you know that I love to test things, and I wouldn't be sharing with you anything that I don't use myself. As a short-term rental superhost, Airbnb superhost, listings that we own and co-host at the same time, I can tell you that there's no better software that allows us to streamline streamline our business. Right now, currently, there's actually 3 properties right now that are currently where guests are checking in, and I'm here with you, and I did not need to send in check-in instructions for these current properties, right? There are multiple ways that you can streamline your operation, from on the front end and on the back end, from being able to create a website, from being able to get income reports for your team, to looking at statistics, to setting up auto reviews, to integrating your smart lock so that you don't have to sit here and send every day and remind yourself to send the passcodes for your smart locks. No, instead you can integrate directly the exact same way that you can actually send your cleaners a link so that they don't have to remind themselves when they need to go to cleanings. There's text reminders that go out. There's links that can go out for them. This is a tool that if you're looking to give a smooth experience for your team on the back end, it will truly reflect, and it does, for your guests on the front end. Make sure you go to host.guesty.com and use our unique link. Our unique link will be in our bio, in the show notes. If you're currently watching this, you'll see it right here at the bottom of my screen. Use this unique link so that you can tell Guesty that I sent you. You don't want to miss out on this. You need a PMS, property management software, in your business if you're looking to operate like a super host that you deserve to be, so that your guests can have the best experience that they deserve to have at your properties. Again, that host.guesty.com. Use our unique link that is here on the screen, in the bio, and in the show notes if you're listening to this, guys. Happy hosting.
Yeah, that's neat. How do you or what are some of the KPIs that you're tracking for, if I'm come under your umbrella, I'm listening to this, I'm like, okay, this sounds really interesting. It sounds like I get to set my own prices, etc. But there's obviously some expectations, right, that they would need to meet underneath your umbrella. What does that look like, right? Is there like some kind of quota? Is there bonus structure? And again, what's my incentive that I get underneath the franchise? I make more, I keep more of my haircut. Like, what does that look like as far as KPIs, haircut, and potential when underneath your brand?
Yeah, so we year one is kind of like just find your feet. We'd expect people to take on about 10 units in year one, given the guidance. And then after year one, we sit down and do full business plans for year two with targets. And then obviously we'll then have in the quarterly meetups, we discuss the targets, where they're at, what support they need, how we're going to get there, what the opportunity is if they do get there. And we also look at, potentially investing. At the end of the day, as my own businesses start to gather pace more and more, there's more and more cash flow comes in, and I may have an opportunity to say, do you know what, let's I'm in Miami, Florida in October. I am fully going there to try and find a multi-unit. That is my goal. I want to invest in a multi-unit, and then whether I take the whole block on myself. And this is another thing we do with the franchises as well, is we offer out the stock to everybody. So it'll be a case of, okay, well, we've secured this 100-unit condo. How many units do you want? I'll have 5, I'll have 7, I'll have 10, I'll have 11. All right, cool. There's 66 left for us. We'll do the other 66, So we give it out, because as long as the whole block's ran as a Luke Stays block, then we get the brand, we get the theme, we get, the guests know where to stay, and it's one operation. So
hold on, Ryan, hold on. You mean to tell me you've kind of baked in your own, because what you're saying is, it's almost okay. Let me ask this, because it sounds like you're giving them, hey, we're going to tackle this 100-unit, let's say in Miami. And then you're saying, hey, you know how we've kind of taught you to manage, etc. You can actually have a couple. Do you want 5? Do you want whatever? And then they're going to manage it underneath the brand itself. And I guess that's really interesting. The advantage there, is it that are they helping with, is that like almost like a syndication where they're also helping with the buy-in, or is it kind of like, no, they're just going to have like a share of this building? I'm trying to understand.
So they would effectively kit them out. So they would fund the kit out, just like they would if they found their own unit. And then we obviously fund whatever we do differently. You see, for me, it's like,
smart.
I could take 100 and make more money, right? But that's not what this is about. This is about, getting more money into other people's bank accounts so that they can then go and multiply the efforts, and they can set up more units. So then in the grand scheme of things, the whole beast grows a lot bigger, a lot quicker. So it's very much.
I'm so
like
glad
a
I'm so
win-win.
glad you cleared that up. Yeah, I'm so glad you cleared that up, because in retrospect, it's like, well, I could just buy this 100 unit, but if it's like, if I can get them to buy into this and then they can obviously reap the rewards, then there's this continuous kind of culture of growth together. And like everyone's kind of, you know, you got, again, soldiers kind of under the same, with the same objective and same core values. Dude, this is genius.
Yeah.
Should I be turning on this Founder movie? Like, where would you get? Is that where all those gems came from? Like, seriously, when did the light bulb moment go up? Because this is, we talk about these niches, right? And you know what I love about the short-term rental space is there's so much, you know, there's within the vertical in itself. There's additional verticals where you can really tweak and really
So many
design
ways
the
to do it.
that you want. Yeah. So I guess what was the light bulb moment for you, man? Like, how did this, and I know you were thinking about it and it kind of clicked, like I should do this, but like, where did the spark come from?
So I guess I guess the initial light bulb moment to even get into this industry was I didn't have a pension. I still don't, to be fair. But I kept working every year, and I was like, I need to sort something out.
What kind of work were you doing, by the way? I didn't even ask you that. What kind of work are you doing?
I was running car dealerships before, so you know, I was busy, and but anyway, so I kind of was like, but I don't want to put my money into something and not be able to access it till I'm 65. So I was like, what else can I do? And naturally found the property gig. Again, I didn't even think of short-term rentals. I initially went into, I'm going to buy a couple of properties, I'm going to refurbish them and then put tenants into them. I did that, and well, actually the first deal was a lease option, but I couldn't find a tenant. So then it was like, my friend told me about Airbnb. So I was like, I'm just going to go IKEA and get some furniture. And the rest is kind of history. That was me hooked on Airbnb. But that was my first light bulb moment, was kind of pension, moving into property, need to do something. As the business developed, I then got to this point. So I sat down in January of January before. And I was like, yeah, no, 2021, January 2021, sorry. I was like, okay, I'm going to employ a sales agent in every county in the UK. I'm going to give them the training. I'm going to, I'll give them capital to play with. They've got to go and find the units and blah, blah, blah.
And again, this is coming from a need of growth, it sounds like, right? You're thinking like, how can I grow faster, right?
Yeah, 100%. So I was like, if I can get like, I don't know, 45 agents on the ground, I can then, you know, they all bring in 5 deals a month, then boom, you know, we're away. But then I start thinking, well, that's a lot of HR. It's a lot of training. It's a lot of recruitment. And I was like, there's got to be an easier way to do this. And my light bulb moment, I'll never forget it. I was in my gym down at the tennis club, which is just down the road here. I was doing lat pull downs on the machine, and franchise just came into my head. And as I was training, I jumped on Blinkist, and I just typed in franchise, and I started listening to a few of the quick blinks on franchise. And that's when I even stopped my gym session to come back and watch the Founder movie, which I never do. Like I love my gym, I love my health and fitness, but this was like, I was like, I'm onto something here. Ran home, and then I realized that no one was really doing it. I could only find one other company here and one other company in the States. So for me, that was either no one's thought of this really, or it doesn't work. So I was kind of like, it torn between, do we do it, do we not do it? But I thought, you know, let's just do it, you know, and away we went. And in all fairness, the first version didn't fly. We really didn't get any signups. We got one. No one was really that interested in it. So we tweaked the whole thing and sorted the back end ops stuff out. And that seemed to just really, you know, gather a lot of interest and so on. And so far, so good.
When you said no one joined, what was, I want to focus on that for 2 seconds. Why do you think that was?
I think we weren't really delivering much more than, say, what a mentorship could, and then you could build your own business out. I think there was, you know, that we weren't really offering. I thought by teaching people everything about the business, they'd want to do all the business elements and they want to do everything. But then I kind of sat down, had a conversation with someone who's a bit older and wiser than me in business, and he said, well, you know, what's been the real pain points for you? And I said, well, really the operations. It's constant battle with cleaners and linen companies and guests and the OTAs and blah blah blah. And he's like, well, but you've kind of gone through that pain and you've figured that out, right? And I was like, well, to an extent, yeah, it works in a fashion, and we're getting better at it. And he's like, well, why burden the franchisees with that? Just, if you already done it, then just keep that away from them. Just keep them focused on the fun part of doing deals and getting out and about and the networking and all the good stuff, the pricing and things like that, and take away all the rubbish parts. And so that's what we did. And sure enough, we started getting the sales calls with people around that, explaining it, and they're like, this is amazing, this is exactly what I want. So and here we are today.
Isn't that crazy? When you solve a problem, like business 101, you solve a problem. You don't try to make money, you solve a problem. And that's incredible, because it just comes full circle. Like, we just have 200 episodes. We always talk about experiment, fail, learn, repeat. Sometimes sitting down and listening to what the customer needs is the opportunity. That's it, right? I mean,
yeah, we did a bit of research, started asking a few people, some of the leads that we didn't convert, why didn't you convert? And, and then, but I think all my businesses now, they've all been developed from solving my own problems. So I had a problem where I didn't have a pension. I had a problem where I couldn't get a tenant. It's like, they're all just problems that you solve when you end up down these paths of where you end up.
That's amazing, man. What's the end goal, Ryan? Because it's like, one of the things I love too is I like the idea of building, selling businesses, buying, businesses. What are you thinking? Are you thinking of like having another vertical integrated in there? Are you thinking more, let's just build this existing model and then package it to like some big ass corporation? Like, what are you thinking? Yeah, you must have some kind of, you don't strike me as a guy who's not thinking 12 moves ahead. What's the move, big guy?
I want to get that 5,000 unit target, and then I'll be hopefully getting a knock on the door, or I'll be knocking on someone else's door and asking them for a check. But then what I want to do is, because I don't think I'll ever settle, I think as entrepreneurs you always need to be busy, so what in my mind is I get to the 5,000 mark, or as close to. Obviously that would be, I kind of know roughly what the numbers on that are going to be if someone was to acquire it as an acquisition. And then I would keep my owned assets, and I would then ask them to just manage them as short-term rentals, so I can keep getting the cash flow. So effectively they would stay in the Luke Stays, they would stay in the Luke Stays brand, but I own them, and I then become the client and they then manage for me. And then with the money, I'm just going to go and buy multi-units and then just hand them over to them to run. Just keep buying multi-units and hand them over. Because I think the model is incredible. I think it works. I think I'll get to a point where it's like, I don't want to do the upside or building businesses anymore on that. I just kind of want the assets. And then as long as they pay the cash out, we can go. That's one idea. The other idea is to effectively just replace me completely, put a CEO in, CFO in, and just step out into the sort of chairman role. But I think, knowing who I am as a person, I'm probably a bit too much of a control freak to just kind of step out and say, you can take it over now.
Take my baby.
And there's always the risk of that then failing, and then obviously it's worth nothing. So I think I guess.
I love the first one. I love the first one.
Right? It all depends.
Yeah, it does. It does. Because I just read. I'm a big. I'm actually in a few masterminds for buying businesses, because I think it's just such a smart way to go, and that's why I actually love real estate. I'm an entrepreneur first, real investor second. So it's like Built to Sell. That's actually a great book. But
it is.
I like the idea. I think my CPA was just telling me this, because he did a bunch of he liquidated a bunch of assets. He's a little older now. He's in his 60s, and he was a big investor. And he was just telling me about Ruben. Like, I was the note holder. Like, I was the he basically was whoever bought from him. He did seller financing, right? So he doesn't have to, pay all the capital gains at once. Which reminds me of your model. But instead you would still be the owner. Let me make sure I understood that. You would still be the owner, and they would be managing it for you.
Yeah,
Did I
so
get that?
my assets that I own are mine. I can do what I want with them. So at the minute we run them as short-term rentals. Whereas and I continue to buy assets. I'm developing 16 flats at the minute. So they'll all be, hopefully finished in about 12 to 18 months, and then they'll be run on short-term rentals. So all of those owned assets, they need the short-term rental operation. So the business that I would sell would not be my asset business. It
Exactly.
would be the operations, the management, the rent-to-rent contracts.
The franchise model.
Yeah, and basically all the controlled assets sits in one business, and my owned assets sit in another business. So I would then the management side, the trading business, which runs all of the rented, the owned, and the managed units, and the franchisee units. That is the business that I would look to sell. And then my own units that I continue to build, I would just ask them to manage them on behalf of me and just pay me, and I'll pay them a management fee. A bit like what we do now for management clients who ask us to manage their properties for them, and we charge them, a percentage each month for doing all the, all the guests running around and all that sort of stuff. So that's kind of the idea. And then you kind of keep your toe in the water, and but you can probably have a bit more of a chilled out time.
That's sick, man. Do you know who Roland Frazier is?
No.
Roland Frazier. He's one of the he's a retired kind of attorney, and now just buys a bunch of business. I don't know if you know Traffic and Conversion with Ryan Dice. He kind of ran that. But anyways, in short, he's really big on creating your own IPs under your umbrella of your business, so like intellectual property. So he has things where he'll sell businesses sometimes, but he has the IP of like the model. So you when you buy it, it's actually separate, or you could sell it as two separate entities, which would be really interesting for you, because you could then technically, I'm just brainstorming here, and this is like because I'm fascinated about this stuff. You could actually have the franchise model be the asset as well, and then the management another, and then you have, because what he does, he'll sell chunks, right? Which is really interesting, because then he still has like control of some other things. I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud, but I just
we've already kind of done that. So the way that we've designed everything is it's all split into kind of sections. So like my assets, for example, are in its own business. So if I did sell that business, it's not part of that business. Franchisees are in a different business. And then I'm even at this minute in time, we're in the process of developing our own software out. So we don't need to rely on channel managers or guest communication softwares or anything. So that in itself will more than likely become a business, because I might white label it and then sell that out as well, because it's going to be an all-in-one package to solve all the problems we have in our business. So again, there's like spin-offs to this short-term rental game all the time. But as you grow, these are the kind of battles that you have to face. And I think a lot of hosts, in my opinion, rely far too much on external companies and OTAs. And I think you need to really focus on getting things under your own hood, and then you're in 100%. Full control of your business.
Control. Damn, Ryan, I want to buy your stock, man. Let me know when you go IPO, bro. I'm buying a bunch. I'm rooting for you. No, because I always say like the business is a reflection of the operator behind it, and I have people typically invest in you, and you got my vote, brother. You are doing some amazing things, and I can't wait to have you back in the lab when you do get to that point where maybe you are already surpassed the 5,000 units, and maybe, who knows, you've exited, but I'm sure you and I will connect in person before then. But man, where can Experiment Nation tap in? I know you got a lot of stuff going on. I know I'm following you on a lot of social and stuff, and I got you on the websites, Luke Stays and everything, but like, where can we tap in more to what you're doing, so we kind of like follow along the journey? If you guys aren't following him, I would definitely give him a follow right now, because I think you're gonna really disturb the way things are being done in this industry. So where can we tap in, brother?
LukeCapitalGroup.com is kind of the feeder website for all the businesses, so you'll kind of get me on there. Social wise, I'm doing quite a bit of TikToking at the minute. I think TikTok.
Yeah, I see you TikToking on. I see a couple of viral videos. I didn't know you were a little micro influencer on our hands here.
I think I watch a lot of what Gary Vee does, and 3 years ago he was saying TikTok's going to be the thing, and I think we're now there, and I think any business that isn't on TikTok right now needs to really look at their marketing strategy, because it's one thing. I'm big into marketing, and I've definitely built my businesses because of that strength. So TikTok is where I play around anyway and have a bit of fun. And then just the usual Instagrams. And I actually got my Instagram account shut down, so I had to start another one.
What did you do? What did you do? What did you say? What happened?
I honestly don't know.
They didn't just pick on you, Ryan. What did you do? An experiment went wrong? What happened?
I honestly don't know. I woke up on a Monday morning and just said, your account's been disabled, agree or disagree. No. So I disagreed, and I've never been able to contact anyone since. My whole team's been trying, so, I think Instagram and Facebook are dying anyway. I think TikTok, YouTube Shorts, that's where the game's at now.
Short form content. 100%. Give us your biggest, what's your biggest branding tip? I know we talked about the biggest business tip, which is AKA solving a problem. What's your biggest thing? And because you spent, again, hundreds of thousands on marketing, branding, etc. So I know I could trust on you to give us a good notable gem to walk away from. So what would you say, as you're kind of experimenting with your branding, your TikTok and all that, is like a good tip that is maybe being overlooked?
Yeah. I'll give you a few. So I think one is have a brand standard from the minute you start your business and live by it. Something I didn't do, but I have done in the last couple of years, and it's really elevated. So now we will only take on a property if it's a certain condition. We will only every property we do take on has to be done in a brand standard. All of our marketing has to be in the same fonts, the same colors. It's a brand theme, that sort of stuff. That's worth investing in. Make sure, if I could have my time all over again, I would start an SEO process right at the beginning, because we are really reaping the rewards of the SEO work we've done in the last 18 months. And it's my vision is to get us to probably 75-80% direct booking game, hopefully by summer next year, and just clear out Airbnbs and booking.coms and stuff, because they control your business far too much. But that comes from the SEO work. And then my final piece, and I think this goes for pretty much all areas of business, is just, you don't need to create anything new, just model success. So, and this is like so true on TikTok, like just find a video that's gone viral for someone else and just put your own spin on it and copy it like for like. I guarantee you'll probably go viral yourself. And you just got to play around with it. And it's the same. It's like, it's like this short-term rental model. Like, I didn't create the short-term rental arbitrage model. I just figured someone else was doing it, had a look at it, figured out how they were doing it, and then rinse and repeated it. And just over and over and over again. That's why it works. That's why there's so many millionaires in this Airbnb space, because it works. Rental arbitrage works. So just model success. And that's, coming back to kind of the franchise model, that's all it is. It's just like, he's a successful business. We're going to model a mini version of it, and then you can build that out into a big version. It's the same principle.
Couldn't have said it any better myself, man. Thank you so much for dropping that. That's such a good reminder for all of us who are here watching and or listening. Definitely tap into Ryan, because I'm here taking notes. I took my notes. I always take notes when I have individuals like yourself come in, give a lot of insight. So Ryan, we'll have to make it happen, man. When you come over to the US, man, we'll have to connect in person. But for the others who are listening or watching, we can again tune into it's Luke Capital, is it .com? LukeCapitalGroup.com. LukeCapitalGroup, that is .com. Make sure you tap in, check into what he's doing, whether you want to be part of this franchise, whether you want to learn from him or just follow him in his journey. I think there's a lot that you're going to pick up along the way. So Ryan, thanks for coming and stepping into the lab and wearing that white coat and dropping some game for our practitioners in the lab. And just like that, we are out.